Yeah. Good evening.
I'm muted.
What?
I was muted on OBS. God
Oh
damn it.
no. Try again, huh?
Yeah. Bonjour, everyone. Get ready to doodle. It's time for Bluedles.
Bluedles.
Yay! Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Bluedles. Please don't mind that I was muted. We're just gonna forget that, okay? Welcome to episode 2 of Bluedles. I'm here with my lovely special guest, Kali Rania. Could you please introduce
Tis
yourself?
I. Yeah. Hello, my friends. Tis I, Dame Armiger Kaliranya. My heart and my sword are yours. I
Yeah!
am. Yep. I am a VTuber. V stands for Valheim. Tuber stands for Twitch, I guess. But, uh, I've I have collaborated with Ace a couple of times before. We had a little series where where we were reading some of Ace's fiction together, and that was a good
Yes.
time.
Yes. Even though I have not worked on it in a embarrassingly
I
long
know that
time.
feeling. Yeah.
I we did that. Yeah. So welcome to Bluedles. Um, if you guys don't know how this works, sorry. I'm sorry.
I could use some French
Levi.
fries. That's a gigantic thing. I was thinking of getting French fries, but then like burgers and such in general. But then my evening got all hecked up when uh yeah, the schedule got messed up. All the to apologize to Ace's dedicated viewers in the chat, all of the delays this evening, with the exception of the last few minutes, were my fault.
No, it's
Just
okay.
generally struggling with scheduling, and then uh and suddenly the wifey showed up at home. And like came back uh from walking the dogs, and I walk in the front door, and I'm like, holy shit, there's somebody in my house. Like she had uh come home from work, and she wasn't feeling well, but I had been busy with the dog stuff and did not notice her text, and just in complete mental blank, did not notice that the car was even in the driveway. Just didn't register that that was there when it was not normally there. Just walked right past it, walked in the door, and was like, oh. And then yeah, so it needed to take a little time to to make sure she was okay and that she's kind of settled in. She's gonna um she's got everything she needs to recover from tummy ache. But
Oh
yeah,
no.
that's why that plus, general just ADD struggle with scheduling things is
No,
why
it's
we're starting
okay.
like an hour and a half later than than Ace originally announced.
It's okay. I have canceled so many streams and delayed so many streams. So far it's embarrassing. I I don't want
Mm.
to admit it. But it's just like, oh, there's days where I didn't expect to be doing something and it interferes with my stream time and or I'm just not generally feeling well, so I'm like I don't want to stream today even though I want to, but I shouldn't, ah, it's
But Shannon
terrible.
things over here so that I'm looking the correct direction. It's
I
put it
mean,
on the
I'm
other monitor, so I was just like, you're just looking
I
over here. Like,
it's not
okay.
exactly for me to look down at my device. And I just look like I'm asleep.
There's some way to sort of pop the chat out, isn't there?
I
Uh,
believe that there is.
wow, so I can collapse the chat. That's not what I wanted, though.
Oh no.
Community. Anyway, not a big deal. So, I did
So,
not catch the last Bluedles
oh,
episode,
thank
so
goodness.
you'll have to uh, lead me along on what it is we're doing here. I
So,
know it is going to involve me committing atrocities of artwork because I
that's okay.
am not
That's
trained in
good. That's
in any
good.
way, trained, practiced, or the like in the
It's good.
remotest. But
That's all good. I want
I
people.
I do have a tablet. I
Yay!
have a Wacom one that
Oh,
the wife
fancy.
got because she was gonna try digital drawing, but then she's literally never used it. It just sits on a shelf by her desk, and then every once
Oh
in a while for one of
no.
these stream things, I borrow it and hook it up to my computer.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
at
you've
least.
already begun the doodling process. I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
even notice until just I looked down at it just now.
It's okay. I
Okay.
last time Bluedles was very unorganized and unstructured, and I did not have questions written down because I totally
Mm.
forgot to, and it I don't think I even would have gotten to them because I think Mad committed more not art atrocities, which he did not.
just
His art was
just
great.
general chaos. Yeah.
Yeah, he was all he was all over the place. Eyewitnesses of Bluedles episode 1 can account for that.
Mm.
But yes, it's supposed to be sort of like half like talk show, like questioning, like asking
Mm.
questions and stuff, and doodling at the same time, or at least trying as much to, because
Right, right, right.
I can't multitask. I'm gonna
That's
be honest. It's very hard for me to keep my thoughts in line with drawing at the same time. It it just makes my
that's
brain
fair.
just
And yeah, if I look down at the tablet, then my avatar just like goes to sleep. I just like
I know that.
uh,
Sleepy time.
I can try to kind of lift it up. Then it's gonna get in the way of the mic.
Yeah,
This will just be
with
super
my
awkward.
last
Let's just.
with my my Mlam model, it was okay, but now with this, it's not exactly gonna work out the best. Even though this is actually the first stream where I'm using the VTube Studio app on my phone to track.
Oh, interesting.
I know,
I
I'm fancy now.
I've never done that. Oops, that's not the undo button. That's the rotate canvas button. Okay, there we go. All right, just scribble a little kitty face. Okay.
It's so
Uh,
cute. Drawing is like envisioning what you think of makes the experience more enjoyable. Exactly. I want people on
yeah.
Bluedles that are inherently like, oh, I can't even draw a stick figure. Like, I can't even draw this or
Yeah,
that. Like, simple things.
it's
And I want
it's kind of
to get them out of their comfort zone.
yeah. It's just been so long. Cause okay, so when I was little, when I was a kitten, I would draw.
Hmm.
That's the thing that just about everybody does when they're tiny, right? You get mom throws crayons and paper at you and tells you to go entertain yourself for a while, right? Um, over the years, I got a little better at it. I moved up from stick figures and incomprehensible blobs to things that you know resembled people or robots or whatever.
Hmm.
Uh, it I think in general, a lot of my, uh, hmm, I guess what you call it, like creative, I don't call it freedom, creative, uh, disinhibition. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Like, got crushed out of me
Oh
in, in
no.
like, uh, school, basically, and like showing people my silly artwork and not being like, I don't know. That's not so great. The feet don't work that way. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah,
Oh,
you're right.
that. Oh, I that
uh,
breaks my heart. Cause
yeah. I was like,
oh my gosh.
uh, so I don't know. Maybe that's just a, a, a bit of advice from an old timer to you. To be careful of that as you go into later schooling and all this stuff. Just try to protect a piece of your creativity that you just keep to yourself and you don't put out
Yes.
to others critique, because getting into that mindset of like, I'm doing this for you know pay or for the approval of other people, it's just really can be very crushing.
It is. That breaks my heart to hear, cuz I remember in when I was younger in like elementary school, I remember I would always it was such a bad habit. And I still have this habit. I wanted to, get rid of it in like middle school, but it that didn't work out that way. I always doodled in class.
Mm,
And I'd always carry my little personal sketchbook around with me, and I I had so many ideas because I'd make like
mm,
so many OCs and
mm, mm,
all that stuff, and so I just wanted to like put it down. And like I loved like things like this was okay. This might show how old I am, but in when I was in elementary school, I was into things like Five Nights at Freddy's and like Undertale and
mm.
shit. That's
Okay, okay.
that's what I grew
Yeah,
up
yeah.
with.
Yeah, that
So
certainly
I want to get that
pegs
all
you to a
on
certain
paper.
demographic for sure.
Yeah. And I don't know where I got. Oh, and then like when I was like really young, I used to draw things like My Little Pony and like Powerpuff
Ah.
Girls. That's what I was into. Should we get into actual questions that I
Oh,
have
sure, sure, sure. We've got, yeah, yeah,
prepared?
yeah.
Okay, my first question for you, Callie, is why did you become a VTuber?
Oh boy. Ah. So, uh, do you want to like settle in for the long haul? Because I could
Yeah.
really go on for a very long story
If
about
you
this if
if
you
you
want me
want
to.
to, yeah. I'd love to
Or I
hear.
could just give the relatively quick answer.
No, you take as long as you want. I would love to hear.
Okay, okay. Because it'll kind of, yeah, because it all kind of ties into a lot of different things.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
with like where this character came from and so forth. So yeah, yeah. If you're okay with me
Yes,
just
yes, yes.
kind of
I'm very much okay
reminiscing
with
for a
it.
while, like all right, then let's do it. Sure. Um. Okay. Story begins more years ago than I will reveal at this juncture. Uh, probably like middle school or something. That I had my first exposure to cat girls. um, and it was like, so I had seen some oddments of like anime and such,
Mhm.
like, but what really sort of stuck with me somehow was this very silly comic book
Mm.
called Reality Check. It was by a artist duo, uh, Tavisha Simmons and wait, is it? No, Tavisha Wolfgarth and Ricky Simmons.
Mm.
Uh, the studio they go by Tabby Cat, and they've kind of shown up randomly in other places. Like, uh, Ricky was the voice of Gur on Invader Zim.
No
So just
shit.
okay, so yeah, it's just like so this random comic that this couple did. And like looking back at it now, it is not that great of a comic. Like the writing
Yeah,
is
I.
not very good. It's just kind of lol random weird stuff. But I
Mhm.
absolutely adored the character design of this cat girl character. The premise of the comic is this kind of this near future thing with these like virtual reality headsets that people would get, and they go into this like cyberspace kind of thing.
Mhm.
And the protagonist gets one of these VR headsets, and he plays with it for a while, kind of sets it on his desk, and his while he's away, his cat plugs into it,
Oh my god.
and he comes back, discovers this is going on. It's like, oh my god! And like there's like a monitor that shows that like somehow his cat is moving around in this cyberspace world, and so he
Mhm.
runs off to borrow a friend's headset to have a second one, and he goes and joins her in this cyberspace, and she has this fully fleshed out avatar with this like cat girl character, and I was just smitten with this character, not in a lewd way. I was just like starstruck. Like
I
she was just so
understand.
cute. Um, and from then on, I just started doing the cat person related things, like trying to draw them and writing stories involving cat people and so on and so forth. Um, and that became kind of my thing. Like my all my online personas of the time were
Mm.
cat something or other and different things. And there was a uh, it was like a collaborative fiction.
Mm.
There like a forum kind of thing where you could sign up and create characters in the world and write little stories and kind of interweave them with other people's stuff.
That's
I was really into that,
that
and
sounds like something I'd be into, honestly.
yeah, I miss it so much. I've not found anything like it since. Um, it was I think it started out as a Chrono Trigger fan universe, but it kind of
Oh.
spun off to be its own thing. They were like, oh, you know what? We don't want to risk copyright problems with the service that's hosting this, because I guess the sort of fair use sphere of uh, fan fiction hadn't been really hashed out at that point.
Uh
People were still kind of scared of what what would happen if companies decide to like clamp down on it or something. But they yeah, so this I was writing. Oops, I was writing in this, and I had a character in that who was sort of from the like prehistoric period of this time traveling
mm.
setting, and she is the kind of cave woman huntress kind of thing, and just happened to be the cat girl whose visual design was modeled after Catrice from Reality Check,
Mm.
and her name was Rania.
Ah.
Yeah. as as things went on, and I did more cat stuff and more writing stuff, there was another um, bit that I did. It was more science fiction, and the cat folk were an alien species that was like invading Earth. And that one of the principal characters was named Kali, or Kali Ra. Ra was her like rank suffix in
Ah.
the hierarchy of the alien empire.
I see.
Um, that and over time, yeah, I kind of fused those two characters together in other like role playing kind of things I was doing.
Mm.
And so I had Kalira or Kalirania, the Rania being like the surname, as more of a somewhere in between this kind of fantasy knight character who had kind of the this like code of honor thing going on,
Mhm.
similar to the invading alien character, but was more in more of a fantasy milieu, like more like the time travel character, and they kind of fused into one.
Mm.
And that character stuck with me for quite a while, and I think the became the focus of a lot of or the means by which I did a lot of personal exploration, a sort of
Mm.
like self-definition things, like as I was pretending to be this Kalira or Kaliranya, uh, it was a space in which I could, you know, do things like screw around with gender, right? And I didn't have words for it at the time, but that was definitely a thing that was going on.
Mm.
Um, so fast forward many, many years, again, not saying how many, but from uh, middle school, high school to now, and I stumbled across. I think the first exposure I had to VTubers was one of these viral bits of um, Korone
Mm.
from Hololive. It was
Yes.
the Ikumbokum
Yeah.
clip, which was circulating around Twitter for a while.
Mhm.
And I saw that and I thought that was, hilarious. Like, who is this person? Where did this come from? And learned about, about VTubers in general. Uh, it took a little while after that before I discovered that indie VTubers were a thing.
Mm.
Because, for a while I was following the corporate ones, but I thought that this was like a very expensive technology, or something that really
Yeah.
only somebody in an agency or in a big company like that would have access to.
Mhm.
So at first I didn't know that it was that indie VTubers were a thing, but randomly, because I was watching this stuff, YouTube recommended a clip reel of some indies, and it was a mix of all different kind of viewership scales. Like some of it was like snuffy and um I think Iron Mouse, like some of those bigger names.
Yeah.
But it was also some of these people that were just clearly just doing stuff out of their dorm room or their office or whatever. I was like, oh my god, so I could do this too, really? Uh, and that's how it began. It was like, and of course did not take long to think, well, of course I have to be Kalirania. But it's just like this character has been with me for so long, has been kind of so important to my personal growth and all. I
Mhm.
can really realize this character in a way that was never possible before. And so yeah, I I saved up and got a model, and here we are. That was 2 years ago. I
Oh my
just kind of had
goodness.
my second streaming anniversary pass me by this
Oh no.
about a week and a half ago, because I didn't um I had a bunch of chaos going on with work
Mm.
stuff, and I haven't been streaming a lot the last couple of weeks. So unfortunately I didn't get a chance to do a big event for it this time around, but that is the case. 2 years.
Oh my goodness. I have been streaming for a little bit, not so much as a VTuber, but
Mm.
um I remember just to kind of say my experience,
Right, so to let me shut up for a little while.
no, no, please. I enjoy hearing your experience because I remember back in 2018 seeing Kizuna Eye, but I did
Mm.
not know like what a VTuber is. I did not know that
Excuse,
there was
that
anybody.
was literally the very first one ever, right?
I feel like she was at least like one of the first
'Cause for some reason,
five.
I had thought that Sora from that who eventually became part of Hololive was the first one, but that's apparently not the case. I thought somebody corrected me that said that it was no, it was Kizuna Ai.
Yeah, I remember seeing her, and then in like 2020, I don't know specifically what Hololive member really opened my eyes to VTubing. I
Mm-hmm.
think it was probably Gura, if I were to take a
Mm-hmm.
guess. Or
The Guru was the
Coco.
first VTuber debut that I ever watched.
You watched her debut.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
She
the.
was so shy at that time. It's hilarious to look back on it. She's like so nervous.
I don't remember.
And then now she's just an absolute just gremlin of a star.
Yeah, I think that the first VTuber debut I ever watched was the first one that I remember watching was Hollow Council, Hololive
Oh, sure. Yeah,
EN
yeah,
Gen
yeah.
2.
Yeah.
I th- I don't
That
think
was
I
a big
caught
event.
all of them, but the first I don't remember the exact order that they debuted in, but I remember watching Oro Cronies first,
Mm-hmm.
and then Bae's, and then
Mm.
Sana's. Um, yeah, I when I heard about that you could be one, I was like, oh well, obviously I have to be one, right?
Yeah.
And so I learned about Vroid Studio, and I was like, well, let me make a 3D model. And so I made one. I made a whole new character.
Ah.
She was very, very simple. I even made
Mm.
accounts for her and shit. You can probably still
Mm-hmm.
find them if you search really hard.
Oh, so you had kind of a trial run that you did
Yeah, but I
first
don't think I ever
before you came up with
streamed as
Ace.
her. I
Mm.
had Ace at the time, but with Vroid's limitations, it wasn't very
Oh, sure.
possible. And so I went with this new character, but then I was just like, no, I have to. I was like, this is too little. I have to do more. Like, I can't just make a whole new
Mm.
persona. I have to be myself. So I made Ace as well as I could in Vroid
Mm-hmm.
Studio, and I didn't stream as like mainly Ace. I don't know why the hell I had an alt, but I streamed on it.
You
And
know, you're experimenting, kind of figuring out
yeah,
which way you wanted to go. Like if you, I mean, for me, it was like this obvious decision, but you have you gotta
I didn't
if it's not like a light bulb thing like that, you gotta experiment and figure out what you really want your persona to be like.
and then when I was like really looking into it, I found out that they made live 2D models in
Mm.
live 2D, and so I was like, oh well, let me do that.
Mm.
Or no. I remember I at the time when I was making the V-Rod model that I never used publicly, I had a friend at the time, and I was like, oh, you should be a VTuber with me. It'll be fun. It'll be super
Mm.
great. Like, you've got the hardware for it. You can do it. And so I designed this whole, like, it was a Halloween themed character. She was so adorable.
No, okay.
And I designed it and I started rigging it, but I didn't cut the layers properly. So I got so
Oh,
frustrated, I just gave
your
up.
first try at Live 2D.
I gave up, and I wasted my
Oh.
whole I wasted my whole like 30-day trial.
Oh no, yeah, that is harsh.
So then I
Having to
had
deal
to
with having to try to operate within those constraints. That's rough.
yeah, and then I don't know I remember and then I made the Millet Ace model because it was simple enough to where I'm like, I know I can't fuck this up.
Mm.
So I made Millet Ace as like a first like little simple model, and it worked out great. And I rigged her, and you know she was ready to go, and I streamed as her for a while, and then I stopped streaming for a bit because I
Mm-hmm.
actually started working on Ace's model, like the one that I have right now, in February, but I didn't have the live 2D to make it, so I had to
Ah.
wait a while. What even? I just thought about what the hell am I even talking about?
Hmm. That's your journey to VTubing to
Yeah,
go along
yeah,
with my
well,
long
yeah, we'll
story.
just
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And
Answering your own question a bit too.
yeah, and so I finished Ace's model, and then I didn't have live 2D for a while, but then I was like, you know who wants to be a streamer more than me is Mad. And so
Ah.
he's been wanting to be a streamer for like his whole life, and he's told me countless stories of like his mom telling him and like his teachers telling him, "Oh, streaming isn't a real career." And
Oh, I
he's
see.
been so put down by it. I'm like, I have to make his dreams come true, and I want to stream with him because
Mm.
you know, he's just so much fun to be around, and I love him so much.
Mm.
So I was like, I'm gonna make him a model too, even if I don't rig it right now, along with
Mm.
Ace's model. And so I finished his full body model, and then he got a job and he gave me live 2D. So I was like, well,
Ah.
I'm not gonna rig these separately in 1 month because I only had a month of live 2D to do it.
Right.
So I was
Okay.
like,
Okay.
so I finished them both in like a little under a month, like just about a month. At the same time, I did like Ace's eyes, then I did Mad's eyes, then I did like Ace's body movements, then I did Mad's body movements, or like vice versa.
Mm.
And it was definitely a lot to handle, but I'm glad I did, and I hope that I can make even more models in the future. I
Yeah.
have so many ideas in mind of like how to
Um.
like kind of like story build, lore build almost a bit during
Yeah. Yeah.
streams, because Mad has a ton of lore that a lot of people don't know about. And
Ah.
so, and I have so many OCs, it's not even funny. So, I want to make models of them because I, I want the practice, and also it sometimes at some points it's fun, and it's also worth it in the end for me at least.
Yeah,
So
where did the lore, well, the very lightweight perhaps lore, but the concept for Ace come from? The uh the fake bunny, twin twin tails bunny with blueberry theme.
well, Ace did not originally have a blueberry theme, I will tell you that.
Oh.
Um I don't exactly remember where I got Ace's concept from. I just remember I wanted a rabbit character,
Mm.
and I had a different persona at the time. I made Ace's original concept in November 2020 because I wanted to switch from the persona that I had at the time, who
Mm.
just wasn't a good time period for me.
Oh.
Um I wanted to, you know, separate myself from that. So
Okay.
I made
Okay.
Ace.
Sure. Ah, yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, I made Ace, and
Oh God, I've made you into some sort of disturbing One Piece
no,
monster over here.
no, it's cute. And I don't think I got Ace's concept from anywhere specifically, but
Like
um
Angie Ace for some reason. Why is Ace Angie?
I
Oh
don't
well.
know.
Maybe it's about that old persona
Yeah.
associated with a bad part of your life.
Err.
Yeah.
And so I think I just kind of, drew up her her kind of concept, and I went with it. And she originally did not have a blue color palette. I think I showed this on stream recently,
Oh.
that she originally had a brown color palette to, be like a
Ah.
more natural rabbit. But then I was just like, this is too boring. This is like so
Hmm.
dull. I don't like it. It looks like she rolled around in mud. So I changed it to
Oh.
blue, and I was like, oh my gosh, I fell in love. And then I don't exactly know what I was going for with the ears. I think that they were originally intended to be like actual like rabbit ears. But then I was like, no, it'd be funny if she was just cosplaying as a rabbit. And the funny thing is, so many people believe that they are actual rabbit ears,
Well,
despite
yeah.
me
I mean, that would be the
despite me
assumption,
saying on
right? Like,
despite me saying on all my character references, these are ponytails, not actual rabbit ears. And I Ace holds a very special place in my heart. Um yes, very special. But I don't know where specifically I got into. I don't know why I even chose to be a VTuber. I think cuz I really liked the concept of like, oh, I want to make my like OC into like this like model that moves and is like really cool and all that stuff.
mm.
Uh so yeah, I think that's why I wanted to be a VTuber. I mean, roughly.
Yeah.
Not exactly answered, but
I realized I did miss one beat in that long story,
yes. What is it?
which is the that I too did some streaming before getting into VTuber streaming. I did do face cam for a while
Mm.
on a different account, and that had its own sort of origin in that I was okay. So I have done a lot of voice stuff over the
Mm.
years. Um, oops, that's not the drawing tool that I thought I was on. Oops. Um, like I was in choirs in
Mm.
uh like again, yeah, so yeah, high school, college. I in college I did as the volunteered as a DJ at the college radio station.
Oh wow.
Um, in the year right after college, I uh, I taught high school speech classes.
Oh wow.
There's just a bunch of random stuff that I've done related to voice work over the years. None of it like probably the closest actual like formal training was the choir stuff, but
Mm.
even that it wasn't like individual instruction, it was, as a group. Um
Mhm.
but years later I was in like a kind of a hippy dippy book club.
Oh.
um and we had it was a sort of book discussion group, but part of part of the process of this thing was we would do these little like meditations before the discussion group, and like different people would lead them, and I and so when it was my turn to do the meditation thing, and I led people on this this guided meditation. Like afterward, everybody's like, "Oh, your voice is just so calming and relaxing." You just like, huh? Well, that's a very lovely compliment, but what exactly do I do with that? like, what do I do with the fact that I have a voice that makes people want to take a snooze? Um,
I mean,
and
they're
and
not wrong. I'm gonna be honest. I agree with
fair
them.
enough. Uh, and yeah, just exploring around, like, well, okay, do I get back into radio? Do I do this? Do I do this other thing? Uh, but eventually, yeah, it came up the idea. Oh well, live streaming is a thing now. I could do stream games or whatever, and do chill streams where I'm doing laid back commentary on the game.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
yeah, so I did that kind of fed in later when I was discovering VTubing. It's like, oh yeah, this is a thing I did for a while.
I never would have. I honestly never would have guessed. That is so cool. Oh my god. I'm like speechless. I don't know what to say. I never.
Hmm.
It's very. I never would have guessed that you went through so many professions. I
Yeah, well, yeah, they're not mostly not professions.
well,
Like it wasn't
you
stuff I was
know,
getting paid for,
just
but
things you did.
except for the teaching, I was sort of like that was one of these. It wasn't exactly like Teach for America exactly, but it was one of those kinds of things where you're technically a volunteer, but you kind of get a stipend. You given some place to live, and you're
Mm.
teaching people for a year. Um, it didn't work out well for me.
Oh no.
I kind of got steamrolled. I was not
Oh
really
no.
I was not ready for it. The like at the very beginning of it, I thought, oh yeah, this is great. I could do this for a profession, but by the as a career or whatever. But by the end of that year, I was just like, get me out of here.
Oh no.
Like these these uh these teenage kids are just like wiping the floor with me.
Oh my. I suppose I shall go on to my next question. I
Oh
think
yeah,
we.
yeah, we have questions, right?
Yeah,
That's,
yeah, we.
that's the thing we're
Yeah.
doing. Sorry.
No. It's okay. It makes me really I'm trying to like think of how to word my things because it's like you make me very what's I don't know what the word is. It's like you're talking about how you got into VTubing and why you started it, and
Hmm.
just I'm taking it all in, and I'm like,
Mm.
this is awesome. It's like I don't know. It's very hard to
Yeah,
explain.
you gotta get those old people on your stream who have lots of stories to tell.
maybe maybe I'll go actively. I'll put out a tweet that's like, yo, any this is. I'm not calling you old. You're probably not old.
Why? How old do you think I am?
I no. I don't want to say anything.
What would you guess?
Mm. I gotta really I gotta
Just
really
mess.
think this through. You can't be too old.
Hmm.
Um, definitely old enough to drink. I mm, at least 25. At
What was
least
it?
at least 25 maybe. I
Uh
don't know.
huh. Uh-huh.
Older?
Oh, definitely.
Oh no. You're not 30s?
I mean, recently.
we'll not dwell on this further.
I yes, two score and one. I just turned 41 this month.
Oh my. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
That's all I can say. The age gap is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
See that, and yeah, that's actually a thing. Like I definitely at times do feel like I'm sort of, you know, getting out of touch with stuff. Yeah,
I
and
don't think
so
so.
I try to have to make friends with people from a variety of different ages and backgrounds and stuff. So it's I think there's a lot, especially in the VTuber space. There's just so much like minors do not interact kind of stuff, where people are just like
Yeah.
so into like either they're so lewd in their personas, or they're, afraid of running into various accusations. So they're just like, well, no, I just cannot speak with anyone under
It's
the age of 18. I have to shut all of such people out of my life. I just think that's sad.
yeah, I remember
Kids are people too.
I remember when oh my gosh, how old was I? Like I'm trying to think. Like possibly like possibly like no, not I was like in my freshman year, and there was like a 4-year age difference between me and somebody who I'd known um in like I don't remember how exactly I met them, but we talked a lot on we didn't talk a lot, but like they were
Mm,
an acquaintance.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
um and even back before I was Ace Rabbit, they like when I was trying to more or less be more of a YouTuber than a streamer, they
Oh, okay,
edited a
sure.
video for me, and then like I was like, "Oh, hey, like how's it going?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm almost finished with it, but after this I don't want to interact with you anymore because
Oh no.
you're young." And
Hmm.
I was like, "That I mean, do what you want to do, but that kind of
Right.
hurts my
Yeah, that's
feelings,
rough.
bro."
Yeah.
So a lot of the times I feel like I'm too young for people,
Hmm.
and that's perfectly understandable, but
Yeah. And there's just so much mystique attached to the
yeah.
age of 18. It's like, well, like once you turn 18, then we can treat you as an equal. Up until then, what you're just whatever. Like it's just silly to me. Like I understand the need for it in legal situations, but as a social thing, it just I think people get a little too hung up on it.
Yeah. Um, I think I shall ask you another question
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
real quick. Let me. I'm trying to find one that you haven't already answered in your long story.
Right? Yeah. I kind of
Like,
covered a lot of ground
half
there.
of them can just be crossed off right there. Um. Oh, this is a good one.
Mm.
Um. I think I'll combine two into one. Do you have any Oshi or like favorite VTubers or like VTubers that inspired you? Even just like streamers and
Mm-hmm.
people who make stuff in general.
Mm. So yeah. I don't think I really count anybody as an Oshi. I don't have any VTuber crushes at the moment. Uh, I obviously I did mention that Korone was the one who was my first exposure to VTubing. I do still appreciate her stuff,
Mhm.
and and both she and Okayu both
Yes,
have some
yes.
fantastic energy, both together and separately. Um, I Most of my actual stream watching these days is other friends in
Mm.
the space, though, in the hobby.
Yeah.
So whenever uh so like uh Don Silva just recently started streaming Valheim again. I watched their their Valheim chill streams. Um else let's see, in it really anybody from who's kind of in my in my little friend group who streams, I will try when I am not scatterbrained and just miss it entirely. Try to tune in. Uh, Ms. Nina is a recent friend who does art streams, does
Mm.
pixel artwork, which is very fun to see.
Oh yeah,
Zalreina, who does um, RPGs and action games. Just any of that cohort, I try to tune into their things whenever I catch it. I'm trying to think if there's any that I other content creators that I follow. I follow a decent amount of Magic the Gathering stuff. I'm kind of into
Mm.
that, at least as sort of casually. Like I watch MTG Goldfish. There's a streamer named uh, Seth, online handle Saffron Olive, who does these very very silly and unlikely deck builds and tries to make them work in in various competitive contexts, which is fun to see.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and every once in a while I'll circle back and watch Hololive stuff. Mostly these days I will watch the not the streamed content, but the like the video stuff, like even the scripted things like the the holograffiti,
Yeah.
or the little anime shorts. Those are
Mhm.
a ton of fun. I try to keep up with those. Uh, they're just great bite-sized nonsense. um, yeah, that's pretty much what my stream consumption looks like at the moment. Keeping up with friends, and and occasionally catching clips and scripted content from Hololive mainly. Yeah. Uh,
Well, I'm glad that we do share a taste in Hololive VTubers. I've
oh yeah,
recent
those are some of your favorites as well.
um recently in like the past year or so, I've really taken a liking to Okayu, and in fact, I
Mm.
am actually working on a cosplay of her.
Oh, fun!
Yes, it is my first cosplay that I'm making. Not
That's great.
entirely from scratch, but I was like, I want to cosplay a Hololive YouTuber so damn bad. And I looked,
Ah.
I'm not usually, I usually purchase them off of a site,
Mm-hmm.
and um, it was not in my budget, so I was like, you know
Oh
what,
dear,
this
yeah,
is simple enough to
yeah.
where I
That
can
that stuff
probably make
can.
it myself.
There's basically no ceiling on how much you can spend on a thing like that.
Yeah, and so I mean, in the end, it'll probably come out to about um, it was like I checked. I usually get them from Amazon, and I know that's not exactly the best place to buy
Hmm.
cosplays, but where I am, I'm like, Mama Rabbit, can you please look at this, and or Papa Rabbit, please look at this, and then it's gonna be on like a site that they've never heard of, and they're not gonna trust
Hmm.
it, which is very understandable. And so I just look it up on like Amazon or something, and then I show them it. And I'm like, Mother Rabbit, please, I want the cute anime girl. I want to be her.
No.
And it was like $130 for
Oof,
the
yeah.
costume, and it's just like a hoodie and pants.
Oh
And I'm
God.
like, and I'm like, I have a sewing machine. I can just buy a hoodie from Walmart and like glue stuff on there. So that's what I've been working on in between streams. I worked on it. I think I worked on some last night, and then I ran out of thread, so then I stopped.
No.
But and then uh, Mad's current Hololive Oshi is Korone,
Mm.
partially because of how close Korone and Okayu are. Um, and I I don't know specifically why. He can probably explain it better than I can. He probably has a better reason, or he probably is just like, I like Korone, she's funny dog.
Right.
But I feel like I've leaned more into having Okayu as like my top Hololive um favorites. But
Mm.
I also like Mori and
Ah, sure, sure, sure.
Marine and
Ah, yeah, yeah. I've watched a fair bit of Marine stuff.
Marine
Marine
was,
does Marine does some fantastic music videos.
yes.
They are
Even
she really
covers,
gets a lot of resources poured into those things. They're very
yes.
impressive.
And even for covers, she does like animated music videos and stuff. Like she's been doing a
Mm-hmm.
lot of like older songs. Like I think her most recent cover was like Mayonaka no Door, Stay With Me. And
Ah,
it's like free therapy for me. It
no.
The singing and the music video are just so good. It's definitely worth a watch when you have the time. And also I love it's mainly like the music and stuff um that makes me like a Hololive VTuber, and like the skill that they have um in certain fields. And recently with what was it, Hollow Advent that just debuted, like
Yeah, Advent.
Gen
Yeah,
3
that's the
Ian.
most recent English group, right?
Yeah, I love Narissa Ravencroft. I watched all of the debuts, and I have opinions, but Narissa Ravencroft is definitely my favorite.
Mm.
I was like I even bought Okayu's first album. I pre-ordered it
Oh.
and I have it on CD, and I'm very proud of it.
Ah, fun.
I have it on display. I hope that I can get a case and keep it nice and safe. Yeah, I mainly like a lot of Hololive. That's mainly what got me into it. And
Yeah.
I also like Iron Mouse. I love Iron Mouse so
Mm.
much. She's just such a bundle of joy. And I try to catch her streams when I can. Though I'm not much of a stream watcher, I'm gonna be honest. I'm more of like I'd rather do the streaming.
Sure, sure, sure. Same.
My brain just can't keep up with streams if
Yeah,
it's not my friends.
I don't mind putting things on in the background sometimes, but yeah, it's. I mean, there's so much content out there. You can't really. No person can keep up with all of it anyway.
Yeah.
You kind of have to pick what's
What's your
which
favorite?
highlights you're gonna take in.
Yeah.
The debuts, get the big events, the music videos,
Mhm. Though
cream of the crop stuff.
I will say that I am not a Niji Sanji fan because of how much they do in a short time span. It's like
Oh yeah.
one moment they're having a debut, and it's like, oh yeah, you new members, boom, new debut again.
Oh, is that really? It's really really fast paced.
That's how it feels for me. It feels like every like I feel like they for like 6 months. No, I don't know. To me that's how it felt with like some of their newer like Nijisanji En branches. Like it feels
Hmm.
like I look away for a second and there's a new gen of Nijisanji En VTubers. I mean, they're all fantastic, but it's just the company. They like, and I feel like I've heard that they had like models in the past that they were going to debut and then they just never did. Like they have models on
Oh yeah.
standby.
Yeah. I think that sounds familiar. Like I don't keep up with a lot of VTuber drama or news, but I do think I've heard something about that too.
I think I saw
Hmm.
about that on Twitter. I do keep up with the only way that I keep up with VTuber news is this one VTuber. His name is False ID. He he
Plus
like
ID. Cute. Okay.
he does all he does is news like
Mm.
stuff, and he has like other people who work with him and do like different like categories like corpo and indie stuff,
Mm.
and that's the only way I can ever keep up with it, especially Niji Sanji. But I'm glad we have similar um I don't think I should say favorites.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh, I shall ask another question.
Okay. Okay.
Let me look. I have to decide. I'm very indecisive. Mm. What are your goals for the future as a VTuber?
Mm-hmm. So I am a great proponent of VTubing as hobby.
Mm.
I don't really. I'm not in this for stardom or making a lot of money or that kind of thing. Uh, I part of it is just being kind of pessimistic, feeling like that ship has sailed. most of
Ah.
the most of the stars that are going to be stars are already uh, doing their thing. But also, just I don't not really interested in that kind of pressure.
Mm.
It's a fun thing. It kind of looping back to what I talked about at the very beginning with how your creativity can be crushed by expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah, so turning something that I love doing into a career is quite likely to make it stop
Not
being
fun.
something that I love
Yeah.
doing. So what I have found great success with and want to continue doing is building this little community that I've got going in my corner of hobbyist or indie
Mhm.
VTubing. I have a private Discord that you are a part of course.
Yes.
And that has been my absolute number one greatest success, as it were, my sort
Mhm.
of favorite thing to come out of this whole endeavor, because I've I've made so many genuine friends by maintaining that space and inviting people into that space and
Mhm.
collabing with people in that space. So I want to continue kind of slowly and steadily growing that, meeting new people who are cool enough and and vibe with that same crew and looping them in to my little circle. Um, and yeah, just continuing to support that crew and all the interesting things that you all get up to. And keep doing the collabs and things like this whenever
Mhm.
opportunities arise. So yeah, I want to continue investing my time and energy and uh, moments of extroverted exuberance into recruiting people for that space and uh, giving people a cozy home there. Yeah.
I do really admire the community that you have built there, even though I'm not necessarily always active in it for
Well, I mean, you've, and that's
I've
that's
I've
always a balance that people need to strike because you're building your own community too. You've got your own
yeah.
Discord, you've got your own channel, and I don't
Well,
want to,
my
yeah,
Discord's kind
distract.
of dead.
But yeah, you gotta, uh, and chemistry comes or it doesn't with a friend group. So
Mhm.
I don't resent anybody who lurks or just kind of pops their head in, say hello every once in a while. It's all just part of how these things work.
Yeah, it is for me, I feel like it is a nice outlet whenever I've used it for use is a terrible word. I've kind of popped in if I need help cuz in my
Mm-hmm.
eyes I'm like this is a circle of like this sounds terrible to say. I'm trying to like choose my words carefully here.
Sure, sure, sure.
I
Oh God,
it,
that's the wrong tone.
I guess the best way to put it is like intimidating almost.
Oh dear. Okay. Yeah, I
But
understand that though.
it's just cuz I'm like this is a lot of people that I don't know and I'm not
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
I'd love to interact but it's just like too much at
Mm-hmm.
once.
Yeah, that can be hard. It's and that I often struggle with that in other folks' discords too. It's just like uh there's a group of people who are already kind of know each other well. They have
Mhm.
their own in jokes and their own sort of vibe and their way of talking and interacting with one another and trying to negotiate your way into that feeling like an outsider at the beginning can be very hard. Um,
Mhm.
and certainly there's things that the owner or leader or moderator of such a space can do to help make newcomers or less familiar folks feel more welcome. Uh, but it's just a human social thing. It's always there's
Yeah.
always going to be some friction there. And not every space is going to end up being a good fit for everyone. There's
Mhm.
some a lot of discords I end up bouncing off because the there are certain memes that I find very upsetting and which
Yeah.
are very popular. And so if there's a lot of use of those memes that have really bad connotations for me, I really can't stick around it, no matter
Mhm.
how nice the people otherwise are. Uh, Faces that end up that are very lewd,
Oh
I
yeah.
I struggle with like people constantly making kind of innuendos or very overt sort of flirtation with one another constantly.
Mhm.
It's not. I don't feel comfortable with that for various reasons, and I'm just to kind of drift away from that. Um, Not that, and of course, not that I think that MySpace really represents either of those things, but just as examples of sort of
Yeah.
dis- discords or different friend group cultures that you can kind of end up bouncing off of for reasons that are really no fault of anyone involved.
Mhm.
It's just not a good match, right?
Yeah.
Um, uh, so yeah, I hope that you do find fun spaces to be in, whether you find them in my corner of the internet or not.
It is very nice to find people in your server that are like willing to um stream with one another,
Mm,
because I remember the before Bluedles was Bluedles, I
mm.
had Ryul
Yes, yes,
on.
Rioel. Or Ryuhel. Ryuhel. They're supposed to say it like Ryuhel, but I always miss the H. I say Ryuel, but I think there's supposed to be a little in there. Anyway, yes, Rioel.
I
Rioel
it
Doze.
was it was
Mm-hmm.
it was so so fun, and it
Mm.
we just could not stop laughing and joking,
What
and
what what did you do together?
I
What was
I think
the
it
stream or
was
the activity?
just it was like this, but it was I think it was just like drawing and
Oh, okay, okay.
getting to know one another more or less than like a, a talk show
Yeah,
sort of
less
thing.
structured, more just like a casual, just
Yeah,
chatting. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
and it was so fun, and I sadly I haven't really interacted much with them since then, but
Mm.
um I hope to find more people like that in your little corner of the internet, or someone else's.
Well, I believe if you want to hang out with Rivell again, then I believe Wednesday this coming week, we had like Zarena and Rivell and I often had been getting together to play Raft on Wednesdays, but
Mm.
both Zell and I are unavailable. So Rivell may be looking to team up on something again
Maybe,
coming Wednesday.
maybe.
Check in on the thread.
I will. I'll keep my eye open. I'll be like peeking from behind the corner. I'll be like, anyone wanna come on Bluedles?
But yeah, I do like that like I think you mentioned that you've stopped in for help on a couple of things
Mhm.
sometimes. The we do have several folks who are pretty good with tech things. Like Zell has a Zell works in computer hardware for
Oh.
day job things, and so often can give insight on like computer upgrade ideas and stuff like
Mm.
that. We have Theo who administers servers, and then of course everybody like I've been able to do a fair amount of helping people with like OBS and general descuffing
Yeah.
things in there. So
I
yeah.
remember the last thing that I had um needed help on was um Mad was like, "Oh, I don't know
Oh
how
yeah,
to."
separating out the audio. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I forget what specifically it was. Everything's good with the game capture now, but
yeah. Hmm.
yeah, Mad needed a
Yeah, it
little
was like
help.
you were trying to mute something on stream, or wait, no, mute something for the player, but
Not for the viewers.
yeah, but project it or broadcast it to stream. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, all sorts of little things like that. It's good when you gather a bunch of people together. You're just gonna kind of accumulate knowledge on, on various topics like that, and somebody will have an insight to grant.
Yes, thankfully. Yes, yes. Yeah, we got it going though. And that's what matters. I think that um if you are recruiting more people for your
Mm.
little uh for the private server, I think that Mad would be happy to join.
Okay, okay.
So just take that into, if you have any if you ever need a madman
Get
running around in your
some more chaos in the mix.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
if you ever need a madman running around with an axe in your private server, I think that he would be more than happy to join and give expertise on things. Yes, more chaos. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to spread it. um, let me see my questions. Some of these are similar to each other. Let's see. This one might result in rambles, but I've seen that you've I know that you like to write, as you said, and I've seen your channels of lore in your
Mm-hmm.
server, and
Mm-hmm.
I never really had I don't think I ever really looked at it that much. So could you explain or um kind of give a rough outline of Kali Ranya's lore?
Ah, sure. Okay. So Kali is from a world called Pentra, which is a fantasy setting that I have tinkered with in various shapes over
Mm.
the years. But it's furries. It's a world where there's all these various species of people, all different anthro animals, and Kali's parents were kind of classic, like uh, RPG zero to hero kind of
Mm.
characters. They're this gang of kind of common folk who got together. There's this crisis in the kingdom whose details I've not even really fleshed out, but some sort of evil wizard kind of scenario.
Yeah.
And this crew got together and set out with their swords and spells and saved the kingdom from certain doom. And so the monarch of the kingdom, Shriyan, uh, as thanks for this grand quest, elevated the pair, the couple who would eventually be Kali's parents, to a title of nobility. They founded House Rania, um, and this noble family kind of continued in this sort of adventuring tradition where they became uh, their manor, their castle became kind of a way station for adventurers and people trying to go out and seek fortune and do goodery on the road of adventure. Um, but Kali was born kind of a middle child of this family,
Mm.
and in perhaps classic middle child fashion, had to work to distinguish herself and to kind of like stand out from her siblings in some way.
Mm.
Because she wasn't the heir to the estate, she wasn't the baby, she was just kind of one of the kids, right?
Yeah.
And the things that she got into to try to be a notable member of the family of, of, of House Rania were twofold. She sought skill as a knight and got into a lot of the sort of martial disciplines, learning how to ride horses and sword fight and shoot bow and arrow, all this good stuff. Um, and on the other hand, she became very religious.
Mm.
So she was very devout, very precise, very judgmental, and um, just kind of holding herself and people around her to this impossible standard of purity.
Mm.
And though um, she didn't have like magic. Didn't have like prayers that would bring about miracles or any of that kind of thing. She very much sort of fell into this paladin kind of high and mighty knight sort of archetype, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she became known as the Huntress Knight, yeah, Kaliranya, the
Mm.
Huntress Knight, because uh, she like chase down heretics and criminals, track them to all ends of the realm to bring them to justice or slay them or whatever her task at hand was. However, as time went on, uh, some cracks began to develop in this persona of hers. She began to realize as she was out and about in this kingdom that not all was right with the hierarchy that she had
Mm.
dedicated herself to. These kind of um, these very traditional virtues that she was trying to uphold were in many cases fronts for hypocrisy and injustice in the feudal society of this kingdom. And so she began to doubt what she was on about. And finally, in one kind of dramatic episode where she was she and her cohort of other knights were called upon to crush a rebellion. She went incognito and kind of walked among the people that she was supposed to be fighting and found that they had good reason to be rebelling against their lords. The lords were not doing their job as far as caring for the people in their charge. And so when the day of the battle came, she switched sides
Mm.
and let the let the rebellious peasantry in through the gates.
Oh.
And from that day forth, she became a knight errant, where she was no longer uh, obeying the precepts and charges of the kingdom and the church, but kind of striking her own path and trying to help people as best she could. So, yes. So she's kind of trying, she's this character who is trying to make up for being rather a dick in the the previous part of her life. Yeah.
That sounds so badass. I love it so much.
and
Cause
and like it doesn't come up a ton on stream. Like I'm not very
yeah.
into the role play angle of the character very often.
Mm-hmm.
It's more the aesthetic of kind of the dungeon fantasy for most of the stream things, but I am very slowly working on stories that kind of flesh out that backstory and kind of what I'm playing with that character. Yeah.
I love it so much. I definitely agree of the role playing part because
Mm.
Ace Whitetail as a character, she definitely has a lot of not exactly story, but you know, she has some purpose in her world,
Hmm, hmm.
even though it's not as badass. Like I'm gonna, you know, take down the hierarchy or something. Like awesome kingdom battle shit. Um, but she definitely has some story that I hope to explain on stream. And if I was really taking the part of Ace, I don't think anyone would watch me because I would
No.
just be a whiny crybaby who just wants to stay inside and play games
Oh
all
dear.
day and you know
Mm.
doesn't want to go to work, doesn't want to go to school, doesn't want to do anything except stream and
The
be.
slacker archetype. That's funny.
Yeah, she's very whiny, very childish,
Mm.
um, and thinks people are very stupid because she gets away with cosplaying as a bunny. Actually, quite a few people in her little world do. It's a common theme. I don't know why. They just do. They just like it, I guess.
So this anthro animal cosplay thing is a sort of cultural trend.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, okay, interesting.
I don't really know why they do it. It's just kind of a norm that
That's funny.
people in Ace's world have accepted.
Mm. Now, does does Ace's world or lore intersect with like Matriotas at all, or is that completely separate?
That's well, it just like 1%, 1%,
Okay. One of
because
the like technically as a multiverse, Matriotas could sort of contain uh Ace's world, but they don't necessarily cross over much.
I suppose so. They're not in the same universe, but you know
Mm.
they're somehow connected. I can come out and say it because I don't know how far I will ever get in Matriarch, and
Mm.
I not not too sure when I will next work on it. But there is one person who runs all of Matriarch, and they they play a very big role in like all of my universes ever
Mm.
since I've made MR, and they will be they're heavily involved with I'm not gonna say their name.
Matt doesn't want you to spoil the name. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
cuz
fine.
they're they're not exactly connected to Ace's world that much.
Mm.
They overlook it, but they're not really involved.
Okay, okay.
Matt is begging me in the chat. You better not. I need them. As you can tell, they're not very connected with Ace's world, but they are
Mm.
heavily, 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 like extremely connected to Mad's lore.
Ah, I see.
So they may be mentioned in the near future.
All right.
So Matt has a lot more lore than Ace would ever.
Mm.
Yeah, Matt's cooking. He's cooking up the lore, which I've been begging him to write down. I'm like, please, I want to make, because I was like, oh well, when we were planning out his debut, I was like, oh well, do you want? Like, I go very much off of traditional like Hololive idol VTuber formula, because that's just how I roll and do things, because I can't really I don't not copying, but it's nice to have like a path.
Mm-hmm. So you
Um,
mean as far as the like style of debut and the way that the
yes,
lore is used
yes.
and that kind of thing? Okay, okay.
Mhm. And you know, like, oh, all these VTubers have like big lore videos, and I'm like, well, I don't have lore. I don't exactly have anything huge planned for like debut or whatever. And I was like, well, we can make a lore video for you, Matt, since you have tons of lore and we'll probably like be mentioning it throughout your stream, like he has been doing. And um his birthday is coming up very soon, so I was like,
Ah.
well, we could do like something big for your Matt is yelling at me. He's like, don't spoil it.
Yeah.
We were thinking of like doing something big for his birthday, and I'm like, you need to
Okay,
write this
okay.
down so that I know what to do, because I can't do this last minute. I have to have I already have stuff planned for him. I do so damn much for him. He just sits back and I'm like, all right, do you want this? And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm like, do you really though? Because I'm not gonna do it if you like don't really want me to do it.
Matt be mooching.
No, he does not mooch. I do it out of love.
Yes, yes.
I I don't think he um I think he did have plans to be a VTuber around when I was, you know, planning out my things.
Mm-hmm.
And
So you led the way, but then Matt was like, "Oh God, that seems really cool. I want to do
yeah, I remember back when Matt is
that." I know, Matt. I'm teasing.
he does not it it is very much I lead the way and he's like, okay, sure, I'll roll with it.
Mm.
Because I'm more familiar with VTubers than he is, and I remember in the beginning when I was like, oh man, look at this, like this, like look at these like VTubers, they're so cute, and like I want to be one. And he's like, okay, go ahead, but like they're kind of I don't know, seem kind of weird. And now he's like, I love Korone. And he's like listening to all of the music and shit, and we're like, oh my god, look at this look at this new like model debut for like a Iron Mouse or something. And honestly, I should do a I should make Mad come on a stream and tell him to guess Hololive members' names.
Oh,
He doesn't know all of them.
there are many, many now.
There are he doesn't know all of them, so maybe that's a stream idea for the foreseeable future. But yes, I do lead the way a lot for him, and I make a lot of things for him, such as like thumbnails and stuff out of like my own will for like VODs and such. And I'm like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, and he's like, yeah, okay. And he's like, I'm gonna
You
go
better,
play Kirby on stream.
yeah.
All
Yep,
he does
Matt. You better appreciate your A's.
I know he does. He does not mooch off of me or anything. I don't want him to give off that sort of vibe, and it is fun to tease. It is fun to tease him for it. It's like this is not the best comparison I can make, but it's like how in the game Needy Streamer Overdose, you're just kind of like leading the way for Ame and making her do all these streams and shit. I cannot do anything without Ace. You heard it here. But it is also very rewarding in a lot of cases, because like I just recently post. I edited debut highlights for him to go on his main YouTube, and then like all of his friends that I don't personally know are like, yo, like who edited this, and like this is so cool, and like your model looks
Mm.
so good, and like your overlay looks awesome, and like all of that. And people who don't know me are like thinking that my stuff's really cool, so like I kind of
Mm-hmm.
I sort of get my name out there to his
Yeah, yeah.
friends and other people who may not know me as well as him. And having somebody else other than myself use my artwork like all the time is
Mm.
it's nice to see, and it makes me feel proud.
Oh yeah. I mean, you did emotes for me. They're still very prominent in
I
both
will
my server and on
happily
my
do more.
channel.
I will.
If
I
I
mean,
had all
they were
day to
useful
all of
for
them.
it was useful for me as well,
Yeah,
because
yes.
I I took the emotes that I did for you and I used them as templates for like my emotes and such.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Except for Mlin, but like
Yeah, right, because that was already a thing.
mhm. And yes, it is very fun to spread Mlin propaganda, even though newer viewers may not know of it as much. Um, if you can see what I'm currently drawing the Malay propaganda, the Malay kingdom, off of Tali's very,
Little scribbly little castle there. Yeah.
it's very, she's ruling the kingdom with her, her charm. She shall rule the kingdom of kingdoms. But I hope maybe in the future I can at least, you know, hopefully I can have more people using my artwork for
Mm-hmm.
things other than Mad, even though I do enjoy being like Mad's like main artist, sort
Mm-hmm.
of. I have been for years, honestly. Since I've known Mad, I met him. Sorry, I'm like rambling all about myself. I should be asking questions about you.
I have been a rather dominant voice in a lot of the conversations, so I don't think anyone minds.
Yeah, Matt agrees that I am like his artist, and I'm sure if I were to offer my art to anyone else, he would gatekeep me. I'm saying that lightly. I don't think that it would. I'm saying that in a teasing way. We're teasing you, Mad. Don't worry. And I hope yes, I would. I've been drawing for him since middle school, the beginning of middle school, when we met through a friend that we shared, and
Wait, how does that
we
be a thing to draw?
2017, 2018. And I still have the first ever artwork I did of Mad saved.
No.
It's terrible, and his neck looks like a giraffe from as far as I remember. But Mad and I do have quite the history together.
Mm-mm.
So it is an honor being his main artist and also um, debuting alongside him.
Mm-hmm.
It, it is the experience, and I honestly don't think that I would have debuted any other way. I don't think that it would have been the same in my mind. What even was the question that I asked you before this conversation?
Um,
Oh, it was about
let
was
me
it
restart.
about
I think
lore?
that was on the. Was that all about? Yeah, I think that was all a tangent off of the lore. Because yeah, because I did the lore thing, and yeah, yeah, yeah. It was the lore question.
Let me see if I have any other questions that we haven't kind of like indirectly answered. Do do do.
Yeah.
Mm, I shall go with this question next.
Mhm.
Is there any difficulties or challenges that you have faced while being a VTuber as a hobby?
Hmm. 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 Uh, hmm. How dark
If
do you want me to get with this?
oh dark
Uh,
oh
yeah. Well, because the roughest stuff that has happened, like, there's a lot of kind of interpersonal drama stuff. I would say, like, I don't feel that I've really struggled with like reaching an audience or finding people to collab with or
mhm
anything. Most of that mercifully came pretty okay. Like, there've definitely been times when I've had kind of dead streams and stuff, and I felt kind of lonely.
yeah
But in general, I have been pleasantly surprised with how much engagement I've gotten with the stuff I've done. Uh, Again, not like I've not been shooting for the stars to begin with, but just having a regular presence in my chat, regardless of when I'm streaming, it's been fine. I've been happy with it.
mhm
Um, so the things that have really been difficult have been more like just rough interpersonal stuff that happens among friends, right?
yeah
Um, like we talked earlier about the uh my Discord space and how important that is to me and to what I'm doing. And so the times when we've had a bad actor in that space
mm,
have been very upsetting.
I
uh,
I
we've had a couple of creepers,
mhm
and yeah, some folks that did not respect the boundaries of other folks in the space, and it was a very hard thing to work through for a lot of us. So that's probably what stands out the most is kind of, yeah, getting through it when things like that happen and getting back to a place where I feel safe in that cozy place
mhm
again, and I feel that everyone else that I'm kind of not responsible for, but like I am trying to help make comfortable that
mhm
they're still feeling safe in that space after something uh, upsetting happens. Those have probably been the most challenging things that come to mind.
mhm
Um, and it's like it's kind of inevitable. We do our
yeah
best to be good judges of character and not invite people in who are going to be disruptive or are going to try to take advantage of others, this kind of thing. But some of these personalities can be very sneaky, very manipulative,
Yeah.
and really get in under the radar. And sometimes you just kind of have to deal with it after the fact. You can't prevent bad things from happening, but you have
Mhm.
to find a way to get back to uh, peace and safety after something goes wrong. And that I think is what comes to mind when I think about challenges or struggles that have come up since commencing VTubing that I wouldn't have had to deal with otherwise. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like I remember some something about somebody in like your sort of server slash like
Yeah.
circle.
You might have seen some of the talk about it or the fallout from it.
Mhm.
I would not be surprised.
Cuz I
Because especially because it was like one of those things that I really had to go to some lengths. The whole like call out post on Twitter kind of thing, like warning people about this
yeah.
person. Yeah, so you no doubt would have
I
at least
yeah,
encountered it in passing.
I was at least told to um not interact and like
Mm-hmm.
distance from
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
I was informed
Mm-hmm.
about it. I remember that much. Um, but yeah, it is very. It's very hard for everybody when that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're pretty well past it by now, but it's like obviously,
Yeah,
because it's as quickly as it came to mind for me there. It's like there's a certain shadow that such an event casts.
yeah. I've definitely had. I know I've at least had some, at least like one person who was like sort of an acquaintance who like I knew kind of liked VTubers and stuff like Hololive and all of that, but then I was like, "Hey, I'm going to become a VTuber and I'm streaming." And they kind of told me off and
Oh
was
no!
like
So,
like
they
you're
had
not
some
going to
kind of
do
prejudice
well.
against. Oh no! Just like trying to shoot you down. Oh no.
Yeah, I think cuz like they might not be the biggest fan of indies or
Mm-hmm.
anything,
Mm.
that sort of thing. I don't know. Or like something about like Western VTubers. I don't know.
Oh sure. Yeah, there's some strange prejudices that people have about what a VTuber is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Like,
Uh, and it all like it comes down to people sort of forming a preference about something they
mm-hmm.
like, which is fine, but then trying to put that into a box that circumscribes what other people are allowed to like or do. That's
Mm-hmm.
just no, yeah, that's the definition of gatekeeping, right? That's
Yeah.
um, yeah, I know that there's people who are very against men being VTubers or men being like collaborating with women VTubers
Oh,
because it
yeah.
interferes with the like girlfriend experience kind of thing. Like, oh
Mm-hmm.
god, what is
It's just
it,
so
it, grow
strange.
up a little, people. Gain some emotional maturity before you you open your mouth.
It's crazy. It's certainly something when those type of people come around and like um big agency VTubers have to have like sort of like the talk
Oh,
about like either people getting like too attached to them or like
yeah, the whole parasocial situation and
yeah
people like going way over the line with it. Yeah.
like threatening like things if they don't
Mm-hmm.
stream again. It's it's scary and I remember one of my friends like when I was sort of getting into it, I was talking about like VTubing in general, and they were like, yeah, like I like that's great, go for it. Just like be careful because I don't want to see you like get that type of uh people
Hmm.
in your like
Yeah,
space.
yeah. I've done like I have had a couple of people that I guess to again to tie it back to something we talked about in earlier conversation, maybe people who are kind of coming out of those very lewdly flirtatious social spaces
Yeah.
and then showing up in the chat and just making these not appropriate for a person you just met advances. Like,
Mm-hmm.
can you tone it down, please? Yeah.
And especially, I mean, I'm very close to the age where, you know, I'm not. I'm almost 18 is what I'm saying,
Mhm,
but
mhm,
still it's
mhm.
weird
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
when people come in and I have like like oh I'm a minor in like my bio, and then they come in and
Mm,
they're like, oh my god, like oh my gosh, I and make all these comments that are just
mm.
nasty. And
It's unfortunately just part of the landscape, but yeah, you gotta hope
yeah,
to dodge as much of that as you can. Have good mods in your chat who will squash it in a moment.
yeah, I don't think I've had anyone like that in my chat, thankfully, yet.
So more like Twitter or Discord kind of interactions. Yeah.
Yeah, or like the worry that it's gonna.
Just worried about it. Oh, so
Yeah.
it's good that you haven't really had that problem.
Mm-hmm.
That is reassuring.
Not that I can remember, at least, but I don't think I've had any
Hmm.
interaction like that
That's good. That's good.
um as a VTuber. Do I have any? Doo-doo-doo.
Oh yeah. While we're at a beat in the conversation here, this little doodle that I did at the top. This is like basically my idea for what I might want to do for a chat mascot.
Oh
Basically,
yes.
do a little armored kitty knight, with the sort of like in the style of like Kirby, like Meta Knight,
Yeah, I was
with the
just
little
about to
which is like the
say.
big like round body and the visor, and the little stubby limbs, with the little kitty ears and the helmet. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for a chat mascot.
That would be very adorable. I I in my this is not really related to VTubing that much, but
Hmm.
um oh, now everything's falling over my desk because I must pull my phone cord under out of everything. Okay, there we go. Ace isn't gonna die today, guys. Not yet. It's not our time. She's been saved by the phone charger. Um, somebody in my art class today, we were doing like critiques on our artwork,
Hmm.
and everybody was going around and like writing stuff on like people's papers and all that. And I think it was actually the teacher that commented about one of my thumbnail sketches and said like, "Oh, like it looks like Kirby," and it was my berries.
Oh, those little guys. Huh.
Yeah, my little
That's
berries.
odd comparison. Hmm. But
I
okay, I guess I can see it.
no, I've one of my chat members who's very active and likes Kirby a lot.
Hmm.
has commented on the similarities as well,
Hmm.
and I do agree, honestly, that they would at least be friends, like Kirby and like
Sure, sure.
a few berries, you
That's a
know.
very that's a very cute way to think about it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They get along with Kirby, sure.
Yeah, they go
They'd
to feed
hang.
God,
The,
you know.
the berries and the Kirby would hang. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Eh,
they'd eat food, go on
Good
adventures, you
vibe.
know. Yeah, and then I also had somebody in my class say, "What is that big balloon guy?" Also referring to the berries.
The big balloon guy.
And then
Hmm.
we also had to like write our initials next to our like comments and critiques and stuff like that.
Ah.
And I thought that they were being rude about my artwork, and I thought that they were saying, "What is that balloon guy? Ew." But it was actually
Oh.
their initials at the end of the comment. Their initials were EW, and I thought that they were saying ew.
Oh.
And
Oh, no.
somebody in like the more higher art class, cuz like two of like they're combined because of the small class, and yeah, I showed it to them. I'm like they said ew on my paper, and they're like, no, that's so and so's initials. And I'm like,
Oh dear. Well, that's
oh.
a bit of a relief at least.
Yeah, thankfully they weren't being not.
They were not disgusted by the blueberries. They were not they didn't have a blueberry intolerance or blueberry allergy.
That would be very unfortunate for people coming to my stream if they had blueberry allergies. Though I would um still force them to watch my stream, and they
Yes,
would have to
then you
stay.
become then they become a fan, and then they are a blueberry.
And
Then they're dealing with
then they just kind of
autoimmune
forget about their
issues.
allergy, and then they forget about it, and then
Oh,
they're never allergic to blueberries again. You know, that's how it works out.
okay, okay. Is that how it works? All right.
Yep,
That
that's how it
works out
works.
happily ever
in
after.
in Aces, in Aces world, that's how it works. You become a blueberry, and all of your blueberry troubles go away. If you're a picky eater, you're no longer a picky eater. You like blueberries now. You know the funny thing is I've said this multiple times. I've never actually had like a just a like natural like raw just blueberry.
Oh, really? Okay.
Never. I and I think it'll stay that way because I think it's a little funny.
You can just claim that I am uh I'm unsullied by blueberry juice.
Yes, I
I preside over the blueberries. I do not partake.
and I'll just say that my reasoning is because I love my fans so much. So why would I ever eat them?
Why would I devour them?
Yeah, why would I? Yeah, it's
So
totally.
not even had. So have you had blueberries like in pancakes or muffins or
Yes,
just?
I've had
Okay, so that you've done. Okay,
yes.
just not pop the blueberry straight in your mouth. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
no. Honestly, I'm more of a blue raspberry kind of girl.
Ah, sure, sure, sure.
I don't think that honestly when I think of blueberry, I my brain goes to blue raspberry.
Hmm.
I don't know why. Probably because there's not many like blueberry themed things out there, I suppose.
Well, that means that you're unique. You have your niche. You're one of the few, the proud, the blue.
Yes, I am. Well, yeah. We'll see. Oh boy, I'm trying to draw Okayu to model and I can't. Oh, and then I had
Ah.
to explain to my art teacher that yes, indeed, the Ace and Mad references on the side of my canvas were indeed my own, because I read like the critique, and it's like, make sure the references are like they're not like too similar to each other,
Oh, okay.
and this is sort of a spoiler, but I've told Matt anyways, so it's not too bad. I for my current project right now, I'm making a new profile picture for myself that matches along with the one
Ah,
that I made for Mad that I'll
ah.
show on his birthday. And I was like, and then I had to explain that no, I drew this one as well, and the characters are, I made the references, and um like part I had what would it I took part in Mad's design, as in I I got him all ready to fully be a VTuber, I suppose you could say, or I could describe it. Probably make okay a bit smaller here.
I didn't know what I was doing already, but I'm making some sort of cute ghost or something.
Oh goodness, she is very. I can count the pixels. I'll just do it. I'll scrap this and I'll do a tiny okayu. Like I'm doodling in my notes.
It's Happy Halloween.
Oh, now I feel bad because I'm drawing her wrong. This is how I draw her from memory.
Oh, the ghost has a little tail.
What?
I don't know. Just I'm running out of things to draw at the
Oh
moment. I'm
goodness.
just like, uh,
Don't worry. I am too. I usually like to fill up the whole page for Bluedles.
right. Yeah, we've done pretty good job of that.
Yeah. I mean, we've mainly just done like big drawings and stuff as well, which is always good. But yeah, I gotta
Do
have.
you have more questions on your list that you haven't gotten to?
I feel. I don't think. That's not a very good question. I need to really. I need to at least categorize these or something, because I feel like we've gone over most of them.
Okay. Nice.
Um,
Yes.
and some of these I already know some of the
Mhm,
answers
mhm.
to, and they're just like very basic. I kind of. How many do I have on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
No mistaking
7,
that for
8, 9,
expression of disgust.
Yeah, I feel like most of
It's
these
true.
we've indirectly gone over, sadly. But
Okay. Well, I mean, sadly,
I mean,
it's just that we happen to get there over the natural course of my blather.
well, no,
Hmm?
it's very. I enjoy hearing it, and it's um, it's there's a lot of people who even like if I were to bring Mad back on again,
Hmm.
I'd probably get some answers that I may have never heard. Though
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if it's Mad, I think that I pretty much I'm covered. I think I know his answers, so he would just have to explain them, and I'm sure he'll. Well, he might not want to go on about his lore. He'll probably be like, I don't want to spoil it yet.
Gotta wait for that debut on that one, huh?
Yeah, I gotta wait for the birthday stream.
Need to do some sort of teaser splash of like his model in shadow in some uh context that hints at the lore, like it they sometimes do with like the uh like when Life does
Mm-hmm.
announces that council is going to be a thing or advent is going to be a thing. They do some vague teaser slide somewhere. Yeah.
I, I can't remember. Like, I think they don't even show the model like in like the very very beginning. It's just like
No.
it's
Yeah.
like a little like scene or like a like something, and it's just like everybody automatically assumes that like it's a new
Right. Because
wave.
with council, it was Prey to the Cube, right? It was those
Oh
like
yeah, it
it
was
was
the cube.
the kind of mythology uh lore videos that didn't talk about the specific characters, but just kind of the milieu that they were going to emerge from. Mm.
Mm-hmm. But I think it'll be very fun to delve in on Matt and I's lore
Mhm.
whenever we get closer to it. Though I think that'll
Mhm.
be soon. It's just a matter of I do want to have like some streams now and again where like there's a um character there's a model of a character more serving a purpose more of to lore than like as a streamer.
Hmm.
I
So
suppose. I don't it's
like okay, so supporting characters in the story of
yeah.
your persona that don't necessarily show up as models, right? Yeah.
Yeah, not they don't have like their own like Twitch channels or
Right,
YouTubes
right,
or
right.
anything. They
Yeah, and
mainly
like,
just serve like a
you know,
more story.
Kali's siblings don't have don't have Twitch channels. Her parents don't have Twitch channels. The her parents' old adventuring buddies don't have Twitch channels. They're just part of the background. Yeah.
Yeah. Though I think that making models of like more um of characters that are mainly there to serve purpose to the story, um making models of them would be um good practice for me if I want
Mm.
to like
Oh, sure. Yeah.
offer um like model art or rigging to someone if I were ever to decide that. And also I just think it's very fun to just have like an army of like just
Mm. Bunch of
OC live 2D
OCs. Yeah.
yeah, OC like live 2D models and like occasionally have a stream where like we lean more into like role playing as a character rather than
Hmm.
just streaming as, you know, our personas and that sort of thing. Cuz and also I just cherish the more story like character the characters that serve more purposes story than just streaming. I cherish them way too much.
Hmm.
Um I don't I'm not sure if I've mentioned this on stream. I don't think that I have, but Ace has a older sister um and she has been in existence more than Ace herself. Like at least like I think in like maybe
Oh, well, I do think you've mentioned
I might
Ace's
have
sisters in some context, but I don't remember what it
possibly
came up.
I have no clue.
Anyway, just something vaguely sounds familiar about the idea that Ace has a sister. That's all.
But she had her own history and with her I she used to be my like online persona for a long
Mm.
time and she had her own, like, I don't want to say following, but like people were interested in
Mm-hmm.
her, and she had sort of not a legacy, but that's the best way I can describe it. Um so she's very sentimental to me, and it's not like I can just throw her out and replace her with Ace.
Sure.
It's like I wanna
Sure.
keep her um sort of intertwined with Ace a little, and I love her design, and she's just so special to me. So like
Mm.
I wanna make a model of her because I think it would be very fun to rig, and also the character who's more closely related to MR and
Yeah.
Mads.
I wonder, like, even if you're not going to stream with the character,
Mhm.
it would be like having that model available might let you do fun things like little animated shorts or videos, like have
Mhm.
them in little skits that are involved with the lore, or
Yeah.
whatever. You then have that asset to work with, do whatever creative thing comes up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like I have more ideas for the character that's more related to Mad, but then they could then it's like you could do like sort of also like lore related but not really, just like fun streams on like Mad's channel or whatever. And I don't know, it's just it's in the back of my head. I have to get it out. It's like I have to make a model of them. I have to. They'd be so fun to rig. Be so worth it in the end. If anything, I'd probably make Mads that character first rather than Ace's sister, because she just kind of exists. I'm gonna be honest, but she's very adorable. Yes, yes. I
That's an actual rude. Hmm.
I'm taking a break from my Okayu drawing to explore around the board and
To fill in some white
yeah.
space with some random word or whatever. There's what I'm noodling with here. This little symbol or whatever. There's uh, pretty tangential character in the lore who's got a curse.
Oh
There's
no.
supposed to be like branded with a sigil of the power of ruin. I was kind of like, what would the sigil of ruin look like? Uh, yeah, they're more just somebody who also exists in the same setting than anyone who's really connected to Kali or her family in any way. But like I said, that fantasy setting is something I've done various bits and bobs with over a long time.
Yeah, I think Ace had, well, not her original design like wasn't too far off from what it is now, but it was more, I want to say it was more fantasy, but sort of not exactly fantasy in a way. Um I've showed it on stream before and explained it a little bit, but she originally wasn't going to be like as a character, she wasn't originally going to be so whiny and childish, and
How did that shtick develop then?
was based off of me.
It just started, you sort of leaking your own personality and just accentuating your more dramatic qualities, huh?
Yeah, I have a more closely related to actual me persona in mind, um, that I've
God, that would
thought
have to
about
be
for a while.
freaking Boy You Lived Scar. I don't want that.
Um, who is more closely related to me to a T, but sort of kind of looks like Ace, like the sort of like version of Ace that I associate with like my writing and stuff, like Ace
Mm.
Anon sort of deal, but
Ah, right.
yeah, because now I'm just kind of abandoning the MR ship, and that hurts to say, but
Well,
you know, I feel like a part of me feels
something
like
you're kind of
discontinuing it.
ready to move on from it and do
Yeah,
something else, huh?
because
Mm.
it was more like writing MR was like a way to keep memories of like me and my friends like close to home and not forget about
Mm-hmm.
them, because I'm very I'm a very sentimental person,
No.
like a lot of things that like my friends you know, kind of brush off and are like, oh yeah, that was fun, like I remember for like the rest of my life, and like
Oh, sure.
I still I have like I keep like every little thing that like my friends ever give me, and I keep that in my mind, or like I have this one box of like little like trinkets and stuff from like middle school still.
Mm.
Um
Used to
and
have
I
something kind of
remember
like that. I don't know whatever happened to it though.
I showed my um one close friend, I was like showing her all the like keychains on my bag and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, and then I have this keychain that you got me for Christmas of this specific year, and then they're like, oh, I even forgot that I gave you that. I'm like, yeah, I love it, this is like my favorite. And I remember the same friend also gave me another keychain, and I was at something for my school, and I was wearing the bag that had the keychain on it, and the keychain had came off, and I was like I was full on panicking, because I was like reaching for something in my bag, and then I felt that like it wasn't there anymore, and I was like
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I was like panicking. I was like, if I lose this, like I'm actually gonna go home and cry about it. But then eventually I did find it. But yeah, I still have there's like there's some drawings on my wall that like my friends have done for me like years ago. And like um I still have like cards and stuff from people. I'm going to cover the Kingdom of Land fire. I'm setting things on fire. AKA filling up the white space. I don't know how to. Try my best though.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. It was
No, you're
brief
okay.
brief interruption from outside the streaming space.
It's okay. I am currently setting things on fire. As one does, you know. Normal, just normal things. Or at least trying to properly draw fire. But it's more of just like scribbles of warm colors. No, I'm mainly just filling up the board with tinier things of whatever I can think about. Oh wow, I just had like the nicest handwriting ever. It's like when I try to do cursive on purpose.
And then I needed to mute because the dog was getting a drink and it was just all slurping noises in the background.
Oh, hi Cleo. I didn't even see you in chat, Cleo.
Splatoon. That's fun.
Yeah, that's how I've met a lot of the people that I still know today. That's how I met Mad. Because we both like Splatoon, and I had gotten into Splatoon 2 from somebody else, I think. Or I'm not sure. Or maybe it was I don't remember exactly. I still have the Splatoon drawings you gave me framed. They're on my desk. Oh, that makes me happy. That makes me very happy. Yeah, and like I also think like a lot of the times that like the things that I'm also worried that like things that I give my friends a lot of the time just kind of go to waste, and they don't really think about it. They're just like, oh my gosh, thank you, and then like a week later they like lose it or something.
No.
I have that worry in the back of my head sometimes that like
a
lot of the things that I find like sentimental value in
right
those around me don't really as much.
Yeah. Well, kind of feeling like we might be running down on energy here.
Yeah, I feel like we've covered enough space.
Yeah.
I do believe so. So I think, shall we soon call it a night?
Sure.
Yeah, I think.
This has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for inviting me onto the second episode of your show.
Yeah, it was very interesting to hear about the side of Calivrania that I never knew. Mad took a nap.
Mad wakes up from a nap. Huh? What? Huh? The stream's over? Oh, okay. Good night.
He's not the first one. Well, at least it was nice background noise to fall asleep to, I guess.
Yep, and there we go. That's my job. That's what my voice is for. I knock people out. I'm like VTuber anesthetic over here.
Well, thank you very, very much for coming on to my show and giving a good example of what a more structured episode of Bluedles looks like.
I didn't go blarg and just vomit all over the page and tear up your script and actually I have no idea what Matt did.
It was just very loud
Oh, very loud. Yeah, I'm not good at
we
loud.
we were
Sorry.
we were
I can't. I can't. I cannot sustain loud for very long.
we were I was screaming at him because I was like, you need to take this more seriously, and he's like, I'm just doing my thing, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll roll with it. I'm supposed to ask you questions, but just throw those out the window real quick. But yes, thank you for coming on to Bluedles. It was a pleasure having you on, and
Yes, very well.
um,
And you got me to do some drawings
yeah.
for the first time in I don't know how long. I think the last time I drew much of anything was one of the October drawing challenges from maybe like a
Oh
year ago.
yeah.
So probably about a year's time that since I ever actually drew anything at all. So nice.
I'm glad that you could draw with me and answer some
Hmm.
of my questions and tell us more about you. It was very interesting, and I had so much fun with you, and it feels like I haven't talked to you in forever, honestly.
Well, I look forward to seeing who else you manage to bring aboard for bloodling with you.
Yeah, and who I managed to drag into my stream. Yeah, I won't drag this out any longer. It is
Yay. Good night, everyone. Thank you
yes, fun
for
bye.
spending time with us.
I will be streaming Stardew Valley tomorrow, so look
Mm.
forward to that. Berries. We will be continuing the blueberry farm. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, berries. You're very appreciated. And we will see you all next time. Fun bye! Yay!
Live with honor, and your heart is unassailable. Good night.
Yay! Oh my god, she said it. Yay! Fun bye! Fun bye!